Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Ekasi Township Rollers. Khona la ku Galaxy Universal Network on Starset Channel 500. Of course, as you know, I am your host Usihle Mngoma. Today, folks, I am not going alone, or rather should I say, I am not flying alone. I've got my co-host here. Perhaps you've seen him on the previous show that we've had. His name is Ukuku. We're going to be having a discussion today with him right here today. So njengoba bese ngishilo, elami igama mina ngu Usihle owakamngoma. Ngisho phela yena ke ucenge uma bhala ngozipho abanye bebhala ngepensela. Ubhozini ukhongisa yebo phela ngisho yena uNtamonde. Nangu Ukuku labafethu ngicela ukuthi naye azintroduce kunina.
Mr. Mngoma, very warm welcome to you and thank you for having me today. My name is Kuku Tusi. As you've alluded,
yes.
I've been part of Township Rollers behind the scenes, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy that we are going to be engaging around issues of township businesses and entrepreneurship within a local space.
Wonderful. As you've heard him, folks, we have just recently moved to alert level 1 lockdown. So that obviously means that our business, obviously, they are getting back up. Everything is starting to open up. So right here on Galaxy Universal Network, we Township Rollers. Tina usilana bafethu ukuthi senze sure ukuthi ibusiness lakho lapho emakasi is seen, heard, and supported as well. So silana njengamanje ukuzokhuluma just about a few things which uRamaphosa has promised to show ukuthi he's taking you lapho ekhaya seriously in terms of investing kuma entrepreneurs from emakasi, and also to take you seriously and support your small businesses. So Gugu, we were talking lana just before we went on air ukuthi some of the products that we see on our shelves these days, things like amaheu are being now rebranded and sold back to us. But yet, if Master Tukbega, these things zibuya le emalokishini emakhasi.
It's quite interesting because umubheka small businesses always been part of our livelihoods. Small businesses have always been part of us, and mawubheka business wasekasi are driven by spirit of ubuntu.
Yes.
Amaheu, you know, isn't this amaheu were sold as a part of, you know, as a community ukuthi yazi let's support.
Yeah.
You know, magna something in him. But hi, I'm going The initial phase of small businesses was driven by a spirit of ubuntu, and those products were developed, and Emakas, we supported one another.
Yes.
Now, you know, due to evolving and technology and times, we find that those products were now reinvented and sold back to us, and it brings a lot of questions to us. So what is it that we were not aware of that someone could come and resell us our own thing? And I think it goes back to us, you know, enhancing and supporting one another to such an extent that we don't give a space for someone to come and reinvent our products and sell them back to us.
Sure. Now, as we have just mentioned that we've moved recently to alert level 1, right, lockdown. So as you know, prior to that, businesses, you know, had been thriving, the economy has been struggling, the businesses have been hit hard, but even so, during lockdown, right now, we go alert level 1. So now our businesses are slowly but gradually opening their doors and getting back on their feet. So according to you, what do you think maybe is going to be the way forward? What do you think are going to be the most critical challenges small businesses will be facing, making sure that they're getting back up there, they're getting back on their feet after this lockdown?
Look, I'm going to be speaking based on a general observation.
Sure,
I'm not an expert in this field, but I've observed quite a number of things. Look, yes, the economy was bad prior to COVID-19, and businesses were still striving in that sense. But COVID-19 came and revealed sort of that last nail that killed a lot of businesses. But now, what we are seeing is businesses trying to reinvent. During the COVID-19, a lot of businesses tried to reinvent themselves going digitally online.
Right, yes,
so a lot of, we've seen emerging businesses now coming from being that one-on-one retail interaction now going online. And I think it's a quite a good angle. Yet it has disadvantages, because the more online we have, the more it means that we won't need human resource. We will not need, so the rate of employment will be affected. So we can look at it in both perspectives, the positive and the negative. It's good in a sense that now, easy access, because that's what technology does, brings easy access to products. But the disadvantage of that is that we're going to find a lot of businesses unable to employ people, because why would I employ people if I've got a technological system that's
doing things,
simplifying for me. So it can work both ways. It can work positive and negative. But it's good to see businesses coming back to life, though it's gonna take a long time. They've predicted that it would take at least 2022 to see a lot of businesses really having that stabilized level. So it's gonna take time, but I want to believe that we will get there eventually.
We'll make it. Most definitely we will. Most definitely will. Now, another interesting thing, what will help small businesses, I think, a lot in terms of achieving that. Making sure that small businesses are back to that normal stability that you've mentioned, is through the support of government. Sibonile, during 11 lockdown, there were some incentives and there were some relief funds that were made available to a lot of businesses. But sadly, as per the reports on the news, a lot of businesses were struggling, to get through those funds so they can stay afloat. Now, how do you think going forward now at level 1, do you think maybe government can come and play a critical role in making sure that businesses, small businesses particularly, emakas, they get the support they need to, get back to stability and contribute to the economy?
Very true. And I think the government has played some role. The government has played some role. But at some point, I think we've got to change the culture and the norm of always trying depending on the government. Personally, I feel that what will help small businesses in this era, the COVID-19 era, it's collaboration. Working together with businesses,
So are you? Sorry to interrupt you. Are you saying so now? Collaboration from whose side? From the government to
businesses themselves. There are some tools that I will need from you. Say, for instance, I'm producing shoes. I need the leather. Let me outsource a small business that provides a leather and take that and also I would have someone to supply with whatever that I have. When we collaborate, we yes, the market is big and there are big players in the market, but when we collaborate, we are able to go and have a portion of the cake. Other than not having the cake at all. Let's have the small portion that we have and share on that small portion, but share it on large numbers. So if we collaborate, we are opening a room for us to kind of, get the slice of the cake. Because COVID-19 has somewhat, removed that element of the cake. But now, as we are reinventing ourselves, it's gonna take time for us to get the big slice. But let's gradually working together. But yes, we need the government. We need government to
just
support,
a bit of support,
support more. But I think again we'll have to change the system of how we define support. It's one thing when you supporting me by giving me knowledge. It's one thing when you giving me funds.
Investing,
Small businesses necessarily they need access to market.
Absolutely.
I think that's the primary thing, access to market.
It's very critical, especially small businesses.
Once you open a door for them to tap into the market, you've already opened a door for them to have money or to have profits. So I think what the government can do in this case is open a door for access to market for small businesses. I think that for me in this post-COVID-19, that's what businesses that's what will help businesses.
Absolutely, because obviously that is a foundation of every small and big corporations is the market. Obviously, if you have a small piece of the market share, it's easier for you to be able to avail a product or your services, render your services to that particular market. But now the issue has been during the COVID-19. A lot of people obviously were affected negatively. A lot of people lost their jobs. Which means now little income to no income at all. Now that is the markets that a lot of businesses are depending on. So now I hear your point, but now the challenge now is now how exactly that is how do you think then government is going to be able to support now our people, in terms of getting them back into the economy, plugging them back into the economy, so that in turn they will also go and support small businesses. Because we heard, we saw also a lot of vendors, street vendors, they struggle getting permits. Even when we were on level 4, level 3, when things were slowly starting to open up. So how do you think government can also just try and speed up the process to make sure that people are getting back to work? We see that now people are going back to work. How do you think they can speed that process up? Do you think that's possible?
It is possible. Again, I like the administration from Aposa, because it has always tried to consult with relevant parties, you know, before any decision was taken. Was taken rather. And I think again, a number of consultations, and again, research will help us. If we could go back and just research as to what has transpired, so that we could have data that will, you know, give us an indication, to say, okay, from here, this is what the focus can be. You know, so I think what the government can do is try and again help businesses to reinvent themselves, like, you know, give some form of development training in terms of online business. How can you, you know, transform your business from being a normal retail? Yes, of course, we can't leave the element of retail, but, you know, reinventing business in a sense of now, how do you align into the COVID era, the online retail or online shopping era? So I think that's what I think we will also assist, and again, a number of consultations, a number of research. I think if we could have a research that will, you know, kind of allude to us as to what has transpired and how better yet we can.
Now, another I don't know, I don't want to call it a social ill, but it's definitely an illness that is plaguing our democracy, our young democracy, which is playing a very detrimental role in terms of businesses not getting the support that they need, let alone businesses, but the country getting the services that we so desperately need, is corruption. It's a big issue that we're having in the country right now. How do you think, you know, it's playing a crucial role in terms of cutting the fund, you know, from going where it needs to be going? We're busy with the Zondo Commission right now, but how do you think, you know, corruption is playing a huge negative role?
Amongst many other things, corruption has literally taken the bread that was meant to feed a lot of people, because the same businesses that were meant to be, you know, within the supply chain of supplying your PPEs, transportation, all of those businesses right now would have at least sustained a lot of employment. But now when you're having a leader who now takes that money, you know, what you're trying to do, you are cutting the bread. You're literally taking, it's like you have the bread, but I'm cutting and I'm taking all the pieces. So corruption has literally affected a lot of businesses, because a lot of businesses would have, you know, at least been sustained throughout the COVID-19 era by providing those by supplying whatever that they could supply. I mean, you know, supplying whether masks, whether sanitizers, all of those things. You know, if we had leaders who had some sense of dignity and integrity, they would have seen that a long time ago, that if I now take this money that is meant to, you know, acquire PPE or sanitizers, whatever the case may be, you know, if I take that money, I'm depriving someone a bread. I'm depriving someone a right to go to school, because there are some who are paying school fees, there are some paying their cars, their houses. So I'm depriving people literally of their livelihoods. So we can't, and look, I right now it feels like corruption. I think we've spoken so much about it that now it's time that we take action against it. Like, there must be something that is done tangibly, because people's livelihoods have been drastically affected. You know, so corruption has played a role in really affecting and destroying a lot of businesses. Not only destroying the businesses, just affecting the culture and the reputation of South African leadership.
Absolutely,
you know?
absolutely.
And we cannot ignore that, because it's affecting us as it is.
Now, as I mentioned, Google, that also during COVID-19, level 3, level 4, you know, a lot of street vendors, local businesses, emakasi, you know, have been trying many ways. You saw maybe a clip, maybe on the news, of the lady who was trying to sell her stuff there on the street, and he got arrested, taken by Metro Cops, and then there was a Good Samaritan who offered to pay for her to be released. So how do you think, government, can speed up the process in making sure that the business that are trying to come up to contribute to the economy, they get the necessary assistance in terms of cutting the red tape, which we're going to talk about just now as well, to make sure that they get the necessary paperwork to register their businesses so that they can ply their trade legally and profitably? How do you think government can also help in that regard? Because they're trying their best to make sure that they follow the rules, they follow the law in applying, but then the red tape, it's slowing the process down. Now the Metro Corp, they come and they take the very stock that they depend on, for their livelihoods. Do you think, government can maybe come up with a solution for that?
Mr. Mgoma, look, when we see something like that, it gives us an indication that people want to ensure that they keep their businesses running.
Yeah.
Because a street vendor, just a day of not operating, just know that there's no bread at home. There's. So the reason why even at that point we saw that woman really going to sell, even when the circumstances were not allowing it, because she understands that if I don't do it, there's no bread. If I don't do it,
kids are not going to school.
Kids are not going to school, and guess what? That will perhaps contribute to some rate of crime, because now other means have to be made. So those are signs that we've got to ensure that we allow small businesses. We create an environment for small businesses to operate, regardless of how small they are, because at that very same level, small as they are, they are able to contribute in whatever aspect of the economy that they can. And looking again at what I personally believe is that I was looking at a friend of mine was trying to CIPC trying to register, and now it was now online because of the COVID and all of that. And those are processes that should have been carefully considered for small businesses that are in the townships who have no access to internet, because data alone is expensive.
Right.
So
right.
when you implement some things like this, you need to be cognizant of those small businesses that might not have data, but they want to register their businesses. They are operational. They want to ensure that they sell their products. But such regulations are somewhat, I feel they are sidelining those small businesses. So I feel that we need to realign ourselves and look at some of these regulations. Hence, I said previously that consultations need to be made, research needs to be made, to make sure that we can then realign ourselves and say this is what we did wrong, this is what we did right. So let's try and find an amicable solution to that. And coming to the red tape.
Yeah.
You see, my problem with the red tapes, and I know there's a lot of regulation around red tapes and all of that, but let's look at the core thing here.
Yeah.
The core thing is not the person. The core thing is the business. The common thing should be between the institution and the businessman should be the business. Don't look at me and align. Yes, I might be the founder of the business, but that doesn't say that if I've got a mistake, then you have to totally red tape my business. Try and save the business so that you can recover the funds that you want. So I think if we can look at that in that aspect to say, what can the institutions do to ensure that they don't utterly destroy the business, and not only destroy the businessman as well. Because you need the businessman for the business to operate. So
that's correct,
we've got to, I think this calls to all the financial institutions out there that, relook at the model of how you do your funding. Because yes, I might have made financial errors before, but that doesn't mean I'm a bad payer. Or that doesn't mean my business will, or that doesn't necessarily give that red tape or that disqualification to my business. My business might make it, even though I might have faltered previously in some form of payment. So we've got to really relook at those models and try and reinvent them and create a conducive environment for small businesses.
Now before we go to a break, here is some fun facts for you right there at home in terms of what Ugugu just mentioned now through the red tape, because we know a lot of you emakaya lapho nhleli, mhlawumbe you are thinking of starting a business, maybe you are in the process of registering your business, but there's a lot of red tape. Now listen to this. According to the study done by the World Bank, right, on doing businesses 2019, it was found that South Africa ranked 134 out of 190 countries. Now, in terms of the ease of starting up a business, that is a shocking statistics, folks. I think e-government to need to really start looking at how they can be able to cut that red tape. Because I think sometimes all they just need to do is just step back and let you guys take over. Because after all, you do this for the country as well. So after the break, we will be closing the show. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. Please also don't forget to tune in. We are live on Facebook right now on Galaxy Universal Network, channel 500 on Starset. And we are also, you can also catch me on Asipesihle Mngoma on my Facebook page. You can also follow there, watch us, like and share. We will be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Township Rollers right here on Galaxy Universal Network. We are live in our Midrand studios right here in Mzansi. We still continue with our discussion on the show, No Google. Before we went to the break, I did mention a few fun facts about how difficult it is for you, Emakaya Lapo, to start off your businesses, to get your businesses registered. The process is a bit stagnated. So we want to know, what do you think government can do to assist you in making sure the process is fast-tracked? Please do drop a comment on those socials that I've given you before the break. Gugu, we did mention before we went to the break, you mentioned about how government can try and assist in terms of cutting the red tapes. Now, Ramaphosa, do you think his administration, as you've mentioned earlier on, is really taking Ama businesses Wasemakasi seriously? Because there was something that I read about him now to show that he is really taking them seriously. He's going to come up with a 7-plan strategy in order to make sure that businesses, small businesses, are really taken seriously by his administration. That includes opening up the industry, that allowing small professional entrepreneurs with highly skilled, from other countries to come through to the country, and also to invest their skills in making sure they support our local entrepreneurs in Macau. So what do you think about that?
I think personally, there's a point that I had mentioned to you when we were on a net break. We also need to look at what other African countries are doing. Information sharing is key to kind of reinventing ourselves. I'm not sure, between Kenya and Rwanda, literally it takes about, if not 2 hours to register a business and get your registration done, sorted out.
That quick?
Bank account, everything. And that the Department of Small Business there is working with the UBank, if I'm not mistaken. So we need to look at those models. Those models from other African countries can help us to really look at what can we do to make the environment conducive for small business. So if we could look at other countries as well and get to learn from them, because we obviously we are also finding our feet. We are a new dawn. We've got couple of years into democracy.
That's right.
So there's a lot of learning that is taking place. And with the administration, Ramaphosa, I want to believe that he does take small businesses into consideration, because he's a businessman himself.
He's
a businessman himself. So he knows the pinches and the pains of running a small business.
Yeah. Now there are policies obviously in place, I would think, to support small businesses in Macau. Do you think those policies are being effectively implemented to make sure that they get the support?
If we are going to see, what will answer that question is a decline. If we are seeing a decline of small businesses, then it tells us that our policies are not yet conducive. So we've got to, as I've told you, that research will show us, and I want to believe that the COVID-19 research will prove to us that there's been a number there's a decline in the number of businesses. So that should tell us that we need to sit down, go back and restructure how we do in our policies, because policies do allow either they allow small business to escalate or drop. So I think re-looking at our policies and our models of how fundings and all of that are structured, that will give us an indication as to what needs to be done and what.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Kuku. Thank you very much for that insightful information that you shared with us here today on our show. Folks, ngiyabonga kakhulu bafethu lapho emakhaya. Thank you very much for tuning in right here on Township Rollers. It's been fun hanging out with you. I trust that you will tune in next time when we bring you another exciting installment of Township Rollers. It's been fun. Remember that success is just around the corner, guys. So never give up, never give in. Keep hustling and keep grinding. It's Sihle and Guku signing out. Till next time.